Hello! Welcome to By Moonlight, where it's not a phase to whittle your boyfriend a new finger.
Aw, how sweet of you.
That's romance.
This week we are talking about Our Black Means Stats Season 1, Episode 6, The Art of Fuckery.
Ooh!
New favorite term.
This week, to kind of take us into what the episode is about, I'm wearing ghost earrings.
Ooh.
Because something spooky occurs.
Ooh, I like what you did there.
Yeah. So, I think it's Ed that introduces Stede to the term fuckery.
Yes.
And Stede is like, all right, I want to give this a shot. So he goes full theater kid and gathers the crew and tries to get them to put on this whole little, essentially like a haunted house
Yeah.
on the Revenge for a passing ship that is looking to raid them. And in the process, we learn some more deeply disturbing secrets about Ed. And we also learn a little bit more about how much Izzy fucking hates Stede. So It was a good episode. Kaitlin, what hooked you in this episode?
The sword scene.
Sword scene.
It's a good scene. Also I do want to give attention to the montage at the beginning because it's just so sweet and warm and I wasn't fluffy, but it doesn't make sense. But it's a fluffy scene. No, just of everyone on the Revenge, just eating together. When we were watching it, you go, "Ugh, Renaissance painting." Which it is.
Yeah.
I just love that the crew all eats and shares meals together. I think that's really sweet. And then just Ed and Stede just spending the day together. They're with the crew, but they're only in their own little bubble.
Right.
When they're eating, Ed's back is turned to the rest of the crew, and he and Stede are talking,
they're in their own
together.
vibe.
It's so adorable.
In their own little world.
They've been drinking all day, and at the end of the day, I just love the idea that everything's just a bit looser now, and now it's just them,
right?
And they're practicing sword fighting, and then just everything about that scene is good.
Yeah.
I love it. One of my favorite bits is when Ed slaps Stede on the ass with the sword, and Stede doesn't take that for what it is, which is clearly flirting and clearly a hint to him, because he uses that move against Izzy in their duel at the end of the episode, where he's just oh, this is a really good trick that Ed taught me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good, and it's good. I can't put it into words. It's funny, but it's wonderful. Everyone knows the actual intentions of it. And then the stress, again, I love it when Izzy's stressed out, which is all of the time.
Yeah.
The stress of Izzy thinking that they're just straight up having sex right on deck.
Yeah.
And his
anxiety
yells
over
of
that. Yeah.
anxiety and anguish.
Oh my God.
So funny.
Yeah.
So that scene for sure.
Yeah. I guess retweet to everything you said, but where I kind of got interested is when Buttons bites Lucius's finger off, because I forget with this episode there's this whole B plot of Lucius just absolutely almost dying, because he's losing blood so fast and he has an infection from not having a finger. So that really got me. I want to particularly call out Buttons' quote to Lucius: "Sorry, laddie, you triggered my flight or bite response."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's so funny.
It is so good.
The inclination that Buttons has towards eating other people, as a stress response, but also just because why not, is really so funny to me.
Pun intended, feeds into the cannibalism that he has going on there. It's so good. And the summer teeth.
Yeah, this having summer teeth. Yeah, that's hilarious. I don't know why that's so funny, but it is. Probably because it's so stupid. Yeah, big fan of that. Did you have any favorite part of episode 6?
I think my favorite scene was the bathtub scene. Of course, between Ed and Stede. Throughout the episode, Ed is finally pushed into listen, you got to end this man's life.
Right.
We're done here, and so he needs to do that. But you just know throughout the episode he's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
They've just spent so much time together now. It's not going to happen. And then just the revelation that Ed is the one who killed his father and not like the Kraken, like he said.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and how he thinks of himself as the Kraken, as like this monster who killed his father, no matter how shitty of a father it was. He was like, it still is clearly super traumatizing for him.
Right.
And just the fact that it was such like a vulnerable scene, and I feel like it was really nice to see that between Ed and Stede, of like Stede still accepting Ed for that, and just being like, hearing like this, something that Ed probably has never shared with anybody in his life before, and for Stede to still like look at him and be like, I'm your friend, and we're gonna get through this together, and it's gonna be okay. And just like the hand on the shoulder and then the little head tilt, it was just like, it's so sweet and wonderful. And also like Ed is just like wrapped up in Stede's bathrobe,
right? And
it's just, I don't know, it's just so tender and lovely, and I love it so much, and it makes me cry.
Big feelings about that scene. Yeah
yeah
I like that it's not really what you would expect. Like, I think going into the show on the first watch, my thought process was, okay, like Stede seems a little ignorant about the whole pirate game. It seems like Ed's kind of going to be guiding him through this, and like Stede's going to look oftentimes like kind of the person that's not necessarily leading things.
Yeah.
But it's so obvious, at least from these last 2 episodes, that over and over again we are seeing the cracks in like the Blackbeard facade, and Stede consistently is the person that grounds him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of exciting.
It's nice.
Like, especially today, I agree that this is like a really vulnerable scene. It was really interesting to see Ed's character kind of become less for us, the audience and the crew, of somebody who's like mysterious and intimidating and all of that, and slowly kind of zoom in, and as we look closer we see that he's actually just like a very like broken, vulnerable person who probably has never experienced unconditional love before outside of from his own mother. So that's thrilling. If that's the case, wow.
Wow.
So, Kaitlin, in this episode, were there any immediate standout characters for you?
Yeah. So my favorite character this episode is not a person. It is an article of clothing, and that is Stede's cravat. Okay, here's why. So one of my favorite details of this show is that Ed and Stede switch clothes in episode 4.
Yeah.
And one of the clothing that Stede gives Ed is this black cravat. And Ed has that, except for when they go onto like the fancy boat. He's not wearing it, but Ed never essentially takes that cravat off, and he just basically adopts it as his own. I want that missing scene. I want to know if he's just like, hey, can I keep this? Or if he just like straight up just didn't give it back. But in this episode, so he's obviously wearing it in the very beginning of the episode, but once he is told basically that he has to kill Stede, the cravat comes off and he's not wearing it.
Right.
And which I think is just like such a good detail of like him being like, okay, I can't, like, I feel like the cravat is just like Stede's hold on him.
Yeah.
Not, like, and like for him it's his influence on Stede and like opening up more and like letting himself be Edward.
Yeah.
So when he has to kill Stede, it comes off because he has to like go back into that Blackbeard persona and have Stede be his enemy and not the person that he loves. So it comes off, and it's not worn at all again until like after the bathtub scene. Right. We see that Ed has it on again, which I think was such a cool detail to show. It's just like, okay, he's back to being with Stede and everything's all good, and there's that black cravat to forever be around his neck to Stede. I love it so much. I love it. I think it's such a good detail. I love that David Jenkins confirmed that was in fact Stede's cravat. Yeah. And I'm normal about clothing.
Who isn't? I like that in a way, the cravat kind of symbolizes this mark of dedication for Ed to Stede, kind of like a wedding ring. Yeah. And I think that's why I look forward to the potential of the red silk maybe becoming that for Stede in season 2. Because I feel like at the end of that season, we don't really see Stede dedicating himself to Ed in that way that Ed has yet. But that doesn't... The mic is still wet from where I looked at it earlier.
That's why we don't like our mics.
Tastes like emotional
trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's a really, really, really good standout character in this episode. That's a good one. In a way, mine is the same. I didn't have like a single person that was my standout character, rather like a group of people. I think this was a great episode for just the whole crew of the Revenge.
Yes.
Because it kind of highlighted something wonderful about each of them, including Fang.
Yes.
I think that just the doggy heaven bits are so funny to me. Like, we go to different heavens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
So good.
But also, like, Wee John as the cat. Like, Wee John in the cat costume. I'm sorry, but I'm the black cat of death. That's one of those lines that sticks with me all the time. Like, it's so funny to me.
Just the meowing that he does.
Yes, the meowing and running around and panting. Like Frenchie dressed in like a cloak and green witch's paint. And then Pete just being like very, very sweet. Like surprisingly so. I think if you're first watching his character and thinking, oh, he's just kind of this coarse like poser dude who's like kind of cocky, but actually has this soft spot for Lucius.
See, that's what I love about this show is it takes like kind of like stereotypes and tropes that you think they'll do, like we've talked about, like this is the tough guy and this is the quirky girl, and like whereas in the beginning like you think like, oh, Black Pete's like this macho man, like really like he's pretending to be that, but he also is so soft.
Yes.
And I love him.
Yes. I also want to give an honorable mention to Stede because Reese acts in this episode with such sing-songy theater kid Eric Idle energy that really like captivates me. I don't know, it's like he put the turtleneck on and he became
a theater
our
kid.
high school theater director. So very proud of that transformation. It was very, very funny.
It was good.
But yeah, I definitely like episodes where it's like there's like some heavier bits, but most of it is filler, not in a bad way though.
Yeah.
More in like okay, this is an opportunity to showcase some fun things that are happening, and like it gives an opportunity to see what the crew is really like in specific and like random situations. I really enjoyed that.
I also like they didn't undercut any serious moments with a joke.
I agree.
Like with the whole bathtub scene, I feel like it could have easily gone that route. I mean, there was like little joke in there, but it went along with the scene when Stede is asking if killing him is still on the cards,
right?
And how he would love it if it, like it wasn't. Like that was kind of funny, but it was still in like the sense that's like oh cool, you're not gonna kill me,
right?
You're gonna be okay,
right.
Like,
right.
I am your friend, and it was still like it's taken seriously. Is what it is. And I appreciate that.
So I will say also on that note that I actually think this show is very tasteful and like intentional when it comes to the serious scenes. And I noticed that today when we watched the flashback that Ed is having of his mother and father, and his father hits his mother, but you don't see her. You don't see his father hit his mother. You just see the shadow on the wall.
Right.
And I really appreciate that because I think we've become way too accustomed to seeing relationship abuse, like physical relationship abuse, as entertainment and television. Yeah. So I enjoy that they did it that way. Yeah. Because it's like at some point I'm like, if I have to watch another woman get hit by her dumbass husband.
Yeah.
Then I'll die.
We don't need to see it.
I'm about to Gone Girl someone, you know?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What were your favorite quotes in this episode? It had a lot of bangers.
Lots of bangers. One of mine that I feel is almost underappreciated is from Steve when he goes, "Muse, why have you forsaken me?"
Such meme energy,
It's so funny and like so like he's such a theater kid in that moment. Which
He's so dramatic.
Really good.
The turtleneck really puts it together. His hair slicked back.
So funny.
Yeah.
The doggy heaven joke that we go to different heavens was so funny as he's sobbing into Ivan's arms.
Yeah.
I really liked when Pete gives Lucius the wooden finger, and he said that he whittles.
Yeah.
And Lucius is like, "Oh, I didn't know that you whittled." And he goes, "There's a lot you don't know
about me." Yeah.
Actually, that's sort of it. like he tries to be all suave.
Like I'm mysterious.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Just kidding. I just think it's so funny. Just the immediate transparency of like, nah, that's all I got. Actually, it's just the whittling.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cute. I also like when Izzy tells Stede that Ed adores him, because Stede just kind of goes,
Yeah, like, who, me?
What?
This guy?
Me? And then that's what like really drives him to be like, all right, we're gonna make this fuckery really cool and do that. So I feel like that was like the first acknowledgement of Stede being like, wait, he likes me. Like, not even in the sense of like love it per se, but
he needs me, he needs me, he needs me, he needs me. Yeah. I'm obsessed with that line.
Yeah.
I must agree.
One more. When Pete says to Lucius, I'm used to death, but not your death.
Yeah.
Because that's saying I love you without saying I love you.
When he starts that conversation with, I thought I was going to lose you there. I was like, wow. Like,
wow.
Aw.
He cares so much. And that's what I love about Pete and Lucius is that, like, in the very beginning, like, it's not, like, hinted at all until literally...
Unlikely, yeah.
Yeah, episode 5 when they're literally having sex in public. Which I'm just like, good for them.
What a way to introduce them.
Yeah, and like, from then on out, like, the pet names that they use with each other, like, Pete is always calling Lucius, like, love, and in this episode he calls him baby, and it's just so cute and soft, and I love that about them. And just, like, their whole kiss was so sweet.
For me, I think a lot of notable buttons quotes in this one.
So
in addition to a flight or bite response, I had, I yearn to make sweet love to the sea.
yeah.
Which, like, who doesn't? Great point. And then when Swede is just, like, so excited to sing, and he says to Stede, and I am going to sing, like, with just, like,
and he's so proud.
all of this wholesomeness in him. When Stede and Ed are hiding behind the curtain, and Swede starts singing, and Ed goes, is that Swede? And Stede goes, yep, that's our little Nordic angel.
I love it so much. It's our little Nordic angel.
And then finally, another honorable mention for Fred Armisen at the very end when he's talking to Spanish Jackie, and he goes, hey, so I was thinking, should we serve food at the restaurant? Which, I don't know, again, like, his delivery is so funny because everything he says almost sounds ironic, but it's not. He just has this genuine wholesomeness that he delivers his lines with, which I find hilarious.
I really like Spanish Jackie's response to that, of how, like, she's just like, you think Jackie don't have enough overhead as it is? I think she genuinely was not considering it, but she's thought about this. She's like, no, it's a stupid idea.
Whenever they use, like, corporate or, like, business lingo in, like, a show that's, like, takes place not in a place where you think they would do that, it always makes me laugh. It doesn't matter. Like, if they said that in The Office, I wouldn't think it was funny because they're in an office. But if they say that in this show, I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious. You go, that's great.
Again, the anachronisms of the show are so funny.
So funny. So, Kaitlin.
Yeah.
How did the ending treat you?
It was pretty great. It's pretty great. I really enjoy the whole scene of Izzy and Stede's sword fight because I wholeheartedly believe, and I think I talked about this when we first had our little unhinged review of the whole season,
right?
But I believe that this was a whole fuckery of Stede's own. Like, the way, like, he grabs the sword and he kind of sizes it up, and he's the one who, like, directs himself, like, towards the mast, and having the knowledge of where to be stabbed from Ed that he learned in the beginning. Like, I think he immediately was just like, okay, I know how I can win this. And, like, I think he had full control of that situation. Yeah. No matter what. And that's why I love, like, when he does get stabbed, he's immediately like, yeah, this mask is made of the finest cherry wood in Brazil. And so he's just like, yeah, like, he was ready. Yeah. Like, he was ready to be like, gotcha, bitch. So I really love that whole scene, and just the fact that he learned, or he used that tip that he learned from Ed. And
I think that's what he exactly what he means, right? When he says, oh, like, I've learned a lot from you. And Ed's like, not really, like, in terms of his skill set, not recognizing him in terms of, like, just the cleverness.
Like, he said,
instilled upon him.
He's just like, I immediately from the beginning, like, you're told, like, Stede knows what he's going to do. Right. And that's to get stabbed but in a way that he can win, which I think was really cool. Right. At the very end, I'm very glad that, when Izzy, because he lost the duel, he has to leave. Yeah. Just his rage. Yeah. Where he's like, oh, like, everything is so unnecessary, but it's so funny because he's so stressed. Yeah. And then just the reintroduction of Spanish Jackie, and I can't remember Fred Armisen's character's name at the moment.
I just think of Miss 19th Husband.
Yeah, of 19th Husband. I love that they came back because I remember first watching it and I'm like, oh, hey, they're back. It wasn't
I was excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then just the whole idea that now they're, like, working with Izzy is super interesting. So it's fun to see how that all plays out.
Yes. Exhilarating. I've personally found the ending to be interesting because I remember when I first watched wondering, okay, like, how are Izzy and Jackie and 19th husband, Queen Fred Armisen, going to get out of this one, what is their plan for Stede and Ed? And I mean, what they come up with really is quite interesting, but you'll have to stick around to find out. Though I'm sure most of you have watched this already.
They're like, we know.
They're like, we know what happens. But I did like that. And then, of course, I did really love that Pete whittled Lucius a new finger. That's love.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
It's love.
I'm just saying, like, if I ever lose one of these little hammies, then Kaitlin,
yeah,
I'm expecting a finger.
I'll do my best. I cut off my own and just give it to you. I don't know how to whittle. This is the easiest option.
This is the best I got. That was episode 6.
Yay.
Before we dive in to the next episode, next week, I think it is time for us to rate this episode on our tier list. What are our tiers, Kaitlin?
Our tiers are tippy top. I ate all of my house's drywall and the accompanying nails. Made me mentally ill, affectionate. Neutral like my pH levels. Made me mentally ill, foreboding. And Riverdale core.
Riverdale core. This is hard because this is definitely one of my favorite episodes, but I wouldn't say it made me super feral per se. I don't want to give it a neutral rating though, so I'm going to stick it smack dab in between. Like,
in between what?
Neutral like my pH levels and made me mentally ill affectionate.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I'm affectionately connected to this episode. Yeah. I love this episode, but it doesn't make me mentally ill per se. It just makes me, I think in a way, the finger pass off at the end might have cured some of the things that are wrong with me. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
How about you?
I will say that I'm putting this in it's making me eat my house's drywall and the accompanying nails.
Ooh.
Because this is my favorite episode. Because it has literally everything I love about this show. It's got the crew doing the most silly things ever.
Yeah.
In the whole fuckery. It's got really tender moments between Ed and Stede. Really good, like, just building relationship moments between them.
Right.
Izzy continues to be the most stressed out character I've ever seen in television history, which is a joy for me. Yeah. It's just it's everything to me, and it's one of the most like rewatched episodes, I think, as well as the next one is, and I'll talk about that more next week. But like, I think when I look at the season as a whole, I go to this one because there's so many things I like about it, like the sword scene, the cruise fuckery, just Jim behind the curtain just hacking up a dummy with an axe.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to.
That's hilarious.
The maniacal screams that are coming from them.
Yeah.
So funny. And just, I don't know, it's a really good crew episode, really good Ed and Stede episode. It's a great episode overall for me. So rip to the drywall in my house and its accompanying nails because they're starting to get eaten.
All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode of By Moonlight. Woo-hoo. Thank you for watching, listening, tuning in, etc., etc. Please join us next week when we review episode 7. This is happening.
This is happening. Woohoo!
Whee!
Bye.
Bye.